My name is Fang Yu. The Yu, that means superfluous. When I was 6 years old, my parents got divorced. In order to secure child support, my mother fought desperately for my custody in court. In the end, the court awarded my custody to my mother. Afterwards, my mother grabbed my ear, her eyes sharp as venom. It's all because you're a girl, otherwise, your father wouldn't have divorced me. In just half a year, she remarried and left me at my stepmother's doorstep before walking away. Later, I bought a house and a car for my stepmother, but she was so angry her eyes turned red. Within less than half a year of the divorce, my father married a beautiful aunt, and my mother, not to be outdone, found a remarried uncle. The uncle took a drag of his cigarette and glanced at me. He blew out a smoke ring, his eyes full of disdain. I can marry you, but I won't raise someone else's child. A single sentence decided my fate. I became my mother's burden. My mom called my dad, asking him to take me away. They started arguing again over the phone. Dad said, I wanted to raise her back then, but you insisted on taking her. Now that you don't want her anymore, you're trying to give her back to me. Well, I don't want her either. Mom held the phone with one hand and pinched the flesh on my thigh hard with the other. I cried out in pain. Fang Guohui, are you even human? You don't even want your own daughter. Dad didn't back down either, firing back at Mom one sentence at a time. You're not selfish. Then you raise her. Didn't you find a remarried man? Let him raise her. Why should someone else raise your daughter? I'm telling you, if you don't take care of her, I'll just abandon her. Let whoever wants her take her. The two of them went back and forth, neither giving an inch. Finally, my father sighed helplessly. It's not that I don't want to raise her, but my wife is pregnant, and it might be a boy. How about you take her in for a while, and I'll discuss it with her after the baby is born. My mother snorted coldly. You're dreaming. I'm telling you right now, I don't want this child. After hanging up the phone, she glared at me fiercely, and even kicked me for good measure. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have to suffer like this. If only I had known. She glanced at me and said angrily, if I had known you were such a burden, I never should have taken you in. Don't blame me, blame yourself for being lucky enough not to be born a boy. It was only later that I realized my mother fought for my custody not out of love, but to secure the child support. The next morning, I was left by my mother at my father's doorstep. Dad saw me sitting at his doorstep and froze for several seconds when he went to work in the morning. Then he frantically called his mom, only to end up having all his contact information blocked by her. He gritted his teeth in hatred, yet had no choice but to relent. In the end, he steeled his heart and took me back to his home. Dad lowered his voice in warning, behave yourself. If you upset your aunt, I'll throw you out immediately. I nodded timidly, afraid to make even the slightest sound. Who are you going to throw out? A voice came from the bedroom. Dad stiffened, visibly tensing up. It seems this stepmother is quite fierce. I was also nervously fidgeting with my fingers, keeping my eyes on my toes, not daring to look at her. Oh, what's going on here? The aunt's belly was very large, like a round watermelon, but her voice was gentle. Honey, it's just that her mother isn't available for a while, so she's staying here for a bit. We'll take her back soon, very soon. Dad stammered, not daring to speak up. Is this a daycare to you? Don't just dump them here. 3 days, or 2 if that doesn't work. Dad did his best to negotiate. 2 days from now is Mom's wedding day. Fang Guohui, what promises did you make to me back then? Everything was supposed to go to your ex-wife, so why is it all coming back now? Let me tell you, I am not raising someone else's child. Dad's voice was as faint as a mosquito's, and I didn't dare to breathe loudly. Stepmother lifted her eyelids and muttered, she can only stay for 3 days, not a day longer. Only then did Dad's tense face finally relax, and he quickly chimed in, okay, I'll make sure to send her away by then. He pushed me in front of stepmother and tapped my forehead. Say hello. I pursed my lips, my face flushed red, unable to utter a word for a long time. My dad grew anxious and slapped me on the head. What's wrong with you, kid? Have you gone mute? My stepmother glared, her voice booming. Fang Guohui, cut the melodrama in front of me. If you keep making a fuss, take her and get out of my sight right now. My dad immediately fell silent, shooting me a warning look. It's not that I don't want to call her, but I really don't know how to start. On the way here, my mother warned me that if I dared to call this woman Mom, she would disown me. Just call me Aunt Zhang. Aunt Zhang snorted coldly, clearly dissatisfied with my attitude. She doesn't speak, but when she glares, She looks really fierce. No wonder Dad is so afraid of her. Mom said it was this woman who destroyed our family, which is why Dad left us. Mom also said that stepmothers are all bad, and told me not to get close to her. Though I am young, I understand what this means. I called out, Aunt Zhang, in a voice as faint as a mosquito's hum, reluctant and unwilling. Aunt Zhang nodded, as if in acknowledgement, then turned and walked into the kitchen. Dad, rushing to get to work, said to Aunt Zhang in the kitchen, Honey, if you have anything to do, just let her handle it. Aunt Zhang, busy with something and not even looking up, replied, I wouldn't dare, otherwise I'll be accused of being a wicked stepmother. Dad pushed me to the kitchen door and whispered, Be sensible, or I'll send you away tonight. Honey, I'm heading to work now. Before leaving, Dad whispered a warning. After Dad left, I remained standing in the entryway, too afraid to move. What are you standing there for? Come over and help. Aunt Zhang stood at the kitchen door holding a bowl, and seeing me frozen in place, she immediately grew annoyed. I responded with an, oh, and jogged into the kitchen. She had cooked lean meat porridge and steamed fragrant little steamed buns. Looking at the steaming buns, I couldn't help but swallow my saliva. Aunt Zhang glared at me and said impatiently, Eat, why are you staring at me? Is there gold on my face? I was already starving, so I picked up the bun and stuffed it into my mouth. Halfway through eating, I stopped again and looked at her timidly. Why aren't you eating anymore? My tears fell pattering down, one by one dropping into the bowl. Auntie, I don't eat much, and I can still work. Could you please not drive me away? Auntie Zhang paused, placed the bun in her hand onto the plate, and frowned. Don't you pull that trick on me, just like your father. But I could see her expression soften. I can't eat anymore. Your crying has ruined my appetite. She pushed the bun in front of me. Finish it. No wasting food allowed. Seeing my confusion, she continued to add, My family doesn't support idlers. No matter how sweet your words are, they're useless. If you don't obey, I'll have your father send you away immediately. I quickly nodded. I'll obey. She sighed softly and muttered, What a sin, under her supervision. I finished both portions of breakfast. After eating, I took the initiative to clear the dishes. Aunt Zhang watched silently without saying a word. While she went back to her room to catch up on sleep, I took a cloth and cleaned every corner of the house, not even sparing the toilet lid. Her eyes lit up as she came out yawning. Did you do all this? I nodded. She frowned and scolded sharply. Who told you to do this? I immediately lowered my head, thinking to myself that I was done for. I'm sorry, I just wanted to make you happy. After all, that's what Mom told me. She said that as a girl, I should naturally be more diligent. Is it because I haven't done enough? So Aunt Zhang is angry. Who would have thought that the next second, she took my hand and held it in her palm. Damn it, your mom makes you do all this. I nodded. At home, Mom only praised me when I was doing chores, and she calls herself a mother. How can she make a child so young do all this work? She led me to sit by the heater. The warmth from the heater made my face feel toasty, just like Aunt Zhang's hand, warm and comforting. During dinner, she kept piling food into my bowl. My small bowl quickly became a mountain of food. Eat up. How else will you have the energy to work for me? I almost buried my face in the bowl. Aunt Zhang's cooking is really delicious. At night when I was sleeping, I heard Dad and Aunt Zhang arguing. At first, I could still hear Dad's voice, but it gradually faded, leaving only Aunt Zhang's angry voice. I heard words like, send away, and burden, and silently covered my head with the blanket. Sure enough, I was still going to be sent away. The next morning when I woke up, I found an extra thick quilt covering me. Aunt Zhang was sitting by the heater, her hands busily knitting a small pink sweater. Seeing me awake, she glanced up and said, Breakfast is in the pot, go eat it yourself. After you finish, come with me somewhere. My heart trembled, and I panicked. Where to? Without looking up, she said, Where else could I go? I immediately burst into tears, rolling out of the covers and grabbing her pant leg. Auntie Zhang, I'll be obedient. Please don't drive me away. I'll only eat one meal a day, and I can help take care of my little brother in the future. Please don't drive me away. Okay, I know, Mom would never want me. She said if my dad didn't want me, she would send me to an orphanage. I don't want to go to the orphanage. Aunt Zhang burst out laughing, helping me up from the ground. What are you crying for? I was planning to take you to the mall to buy some new clothes. I cried with tears and snot running down my face. I don't want new clothes. I won't waste money. I don't want to leave. I'll be obedient. Aunt Zhang's face turned stern. If you don't go, I'll have your father send you away. Whose child is as dirty as you? I glanced at my blackened coat and worn-out pants, then silently closed my mouth. Aunt Zhang bought me 3 sets of clothes, including a very pretty little dress. She took me to take a bath, and it took 3 rounds of rinsing with dark water to finally get my hair clean. Well, now you look like a proper girl. Aunt Zhang dressed me in the dress she bought and even tied my hair into little braids. She smiled very gently, as if quite satisfied with her handiwork. I grinned, my heart blooming with joy. Stepmom doesn't seem that bad after all. That night, Dad and Aunt Zhang argued again because of me, but this time, I clearly heard her sobbing and cursing. What kind of mother does that? You have no idea. Her hair was all tangled, her body covered in grime. How could she end up with a mother like that? This child has such a hard life. 3 days, and then another 3. Every day I fear this might all be a dream. You'll be kicked out once you wake up. Aunt Zhang, however, never tires of buying clothes for me. I whispered no. But she didn't take it seriously, saying, "This is what I'm lending you, you'll have to pay me back later." Seeing that she no longer insisted on kicking me out, my father let her do as she pleased. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Aunt Zhang's belly grew bigger and bigger, and she often couldn't sleep, pacing back and forth in the middle of the night. I slept on the sofa and could always see her sitting alone on a small stool, supporting her waist with one hand. Pacing back and forth in the living room, afraid of waking me, she even took off her shoes. "Did I wake you up?" Seeing me turn over, Aunt Zhang asked softly. I lifted the blanket and walked over to massage her shoulders. "The floor is cold, put on your shoes," she scolded softly, her eyes filled with concern. After spending this time together, I've come to know that she has a sharp tongue but a soft heart. She always speaks threatening words, but everything she does is out of care for me. Approaching the due date, Aunt Zhang became increasingly anxious. Many relatives from her maternal family came to visit, and without exception, they frowned at the sight of me, urging her to send me away. Among them, Aunt Zhang's mother reacted the most strongly. "Zhang Shumei, have you lost your mind during this pregnancy? You're about to become a mother yourself, yet you're helping raise someone else's child. How foolish is that? Do you know how hard it is to be a stepmother? If you do well, no one appreciates you. If you don't, they accuse you of mistreating her. This child was awarded to her mother. Why are you bothering with her?" Aunt Zhang brushed it off with a laugh. Seeing this, her mother poked her forehead hard and scolded, "Don't say I didn't warn you. A child born by someone else is nothing but an ungrateful wolf that can't be tamed. Don't let it turn around and bite you." Aunt Zhang nestled in her arms with a smile. "I know, Mom, you little brat. Hurry up and send her away, or don't call me your mom anymore." She turned and pulled me over. "Little fish, say hello to Grandma." "Hello, Grandma," I called out softly. Aunt Zhang's mother rolled her eyes, her voice much softer. "Who's your grandma?" Aunt Zhang gently patted her shoulder. "She's already calling you Grandma." "Mom, you've gained a granddaughter for free, so you should at least show some appreciation." Grandma Zhang pulled a long face and reluctantly took a red envelope from her pocket, slapping it into her hand. "I really owe you, little fish. This is a red envelope from Grandma. Take it quickly. This aunt is as happy as a child right now. I really envy her. Being able to act spoiled in front of her mother at this age, not like me, a child abandoned by my mother." When no one was around in the evening, I gave my red envelope to Aunt Zhang, and she smiled and patted my little braid. "That was given to you by Grandma. You should keep it for yourself." That night, I placed the red envelope under my pillow and slept soundly, because that was the first time I had pocket money. Aunt Zhang went to the hospital for her due date, and Dad became very busy that day. I heard him on the balcony making a phone call, and his tone was very unpleasant. "Lin Fang, you must take this child away." On the other end of the phone was my mother's long unheard voice. "Why should I support you? I've been raising you for so long and haven't even asked you for living expenses." Dad retorted, "You call that raising a child? I don't even want to say it. You just kept her alive." Dad is right. Since their divorce, I've been living with my mom in a rental apartment, often not knowing where our next meal will come from. Mom never worked after marrying Dad, and she used all the money from their divorce settlement on mahjong, losing it all very quickly. She doesn't go out to find a job, and every month she can only wait eagerly for the child support from my dad to get by. Once she starts playing mahjong, she can forget about everything else. She only brings me a meal when she remembers. And if she forgets, I go 2 or 3 days without eating, at home. I was so hungry that my eyes were gleaming, eating whatever I could find, devouring anything in sight. I once ate a whole box of baby pumpkins raw when I was at my hungriest. If it weren't for the kind landlady downstairs who often brought me food out of pity, I probably would have starved to death in my rented room. Fang Guohui, don't think I don't know what you're up to. Isn't it just that your wife is about to give birth? What, you think you can have the new and discard the old? Let me tell you, you can forget about taking the child from me. Dad gritted his teeth in anger. Lin Fang, you were the one who wanted the child in the first place. If you keep this up, I'll sue you. Go ahead and sue me. Don't forget you're also the father of the child. I might as well tell you, I'm pregnant. You can keep the baby or not. I don't care. If you don't want it, just throw it away. I certainly don't want it, otherwise, just kill her and be done with it. So we don't have to keep arguing about this. Dad was taken aback, instantly at a loss for words, unable to utter a single sentence. After a long while, he finally cursed. Lin Fang, are you even human? That's your own daughter. How could you say such vicious things? Mom snorted in retort. You have the nerve to say that about me. You only came to me because you didn't want it yourself. Dad hung up the phone, crushed the cigarette butt on his lips fiercely, and pulled me out the door. I was dragged outside, not daring to speak a word the whole way. The car wound its way around, driving from dawn until dusk before finally reaching the destination. Dad carried me out of the car, and what came into view was an old self-built house. A few people were sitting scattered at the entrance. Dad pulled me over and called out, Mom, Dad. Only then did I realize that this was Dad's hometown. When Dad left, he slipped 100 yuan into my pocket, telling me to buy something to eat. I refused to take it, clutching his hand and pleading, Dad, I don't want to stay here. Please don't leave me here. Auntie Zhang will worry if she can't find me. Dad's face turned cold, and with a determined heart, he pushed my hand away. Grandma also came over to pull me away, scolding as she did, You wretched girl, do you really think you're a treasure? They'd be glad if you died out there. From now on, you'll stay in the countryside and take good care of your brother. I threw a tantrum and rolled on the ground, but it was useless. Dad closed his eyes, didn't dare to look back, and strode away. The 100 yuan was snatched away by my cousin the next morning. He licked his lollipop and boasted in front of me. Grandma said you're just a money loser, not worthy of eating candy. That was the first time I ever got into a fight with someone. My cousin ran into the house, and before long, my grandmother came out, cursing and carrying a broom. You worthless troublemaker. You come back and make my Yaozu cry. No wonder your mother doesn't want you. I'll beat you to death. She raised the broom and swung it at me. I didn't dare run, so I just stood there and let her hit me. My cousin stood by, clapping and cheering with a smile. Are you an idiot, just standing there and letting her hit you? Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from behind. I turned around and saw Aunt Zhang's familiar face, and tears suddenly began to fall uncontrollably. Where did it hurt? Let me see if it's painful. Seeing me cry, she visibly panicked and quickly pulled me into her arms to check. It hurts so much. I cried louder and louder, tightly clutching her warm hands. Mom, how could you hit her? She pulled me behind her, her belly swollen, glaring fiercely at Grandma. A worthless girl. I can hit her if I want to. Grandma spat on the ground with a contemptuous huff. Mom, I think you're getting senile. How can you even insult yourself? If girls are just money-losing goods, then you yourself are a money-losing good too. We're all women, yet you keep calling her a money-losing burden. I think you must have given birth to your cerebellum along with your child. Grandma was furious, pointing at her and scolding. You, who do you think you are, daring to talk back to me? Aunt Zhang curled her lips, her aura as imposing as a rainbow, even with a large belly. Her imposing presence remained undiminished. I call you, Mom, out of respect, otherwise you're just a dead old hag. Let me tell you, from now on, Xiaoyar is my daughter. If you dare hit her again, I won't let you off. Grandma sneered. Her own mother doesn't even want her. What kind of mother are you? She took 2 steps forward, snatched the candy from her cousin's hand, and threw it into the chicken coop. Her cousin burst into tears instantly. A stepmother is still a mother. If you dare bully my daughter again, I'll beat you up every time I see you. My cousin shrank his neck, his face smeared with snot and tears. Grandma stomped her feet in anger, pointing at Dad and yelling, You just let your wife bully me like that. I raised you for nothing. Dad spread his hands, his face full of helplessness. I listened to my wife. Grandma's lips twitched as she cursed Dad for forgetting his mother after getting married. Aunt Zhang looked at Grandma rolling on the ground in a tantrum and laughed. A mother like you should have been forgotten long ago. On the way back, Dad was scolded by Aunt Zhang the whole time. While he was driving, I noticed a red handprint on his face. He remained silent the entire journey, not daring to speak. Aunt Zhang threatened him, saying that if he dared to secretly send me away again, she would divorce him. Dad kept saying, I was wrong. Aunt Zhang turned her face to me and said, "What are you saying to me? You should talk to Xiaoyu." Dad pulled a long face, and it wasn't until Aunt Zhang gave him a few thumps that he finally looked down and apologized to me. Aunt Zhang finally smiled, and she took my hand to ask, "Do you want to forgive your dad?" Xiaoyu, I nodded. I know Dad sent me back to my hometown because he was afraid no one would take care of me. Later, I found out that Aunt Zhang had asked my dad to take me to the hospital to keep her company. Dad's eyes darted away, too guilty to look at him. Upon hearing that I had been sent back to my hometown, Aunt Zhang immediately rushed back from the hospital. My dad got beaten up several times along the way. That night, Aunt Zhang's water broke. We went back to the hospital that same night. Just before entering the delivery room, she held my hand and told me to wait for her to come out. Aunt Zhang gave birth to a baby brother. My newborn brother was pink and tender, nestled in her arms, sleeping soundly. Aunt Zhang asked me to touch my brother. Just as I was about to reach out, she suddenly remembered something and told me to go wash my hands in the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, I ran into my mother. She lovingly stroked her pregnant belly and blocked my path. "Fang Yu, where are you going? You didn't even say hello when you saw your mom." I stopped in my tracks, looking at her with a hint of unfamiliarity. "I heard your stepmother gave birth to a brother for you. Then your days are going to be tough. Once the stepmother has her own child, who's going to care about you? Are you done? If you're finished, I'm going back." I looked at her and spoke each word clearly. Mom frowned and scolded, "You ungrateful girl. After all I've done for you. Now I can't even say a word about you." She reached out to pinch my ear, but I dodged it. "You dare dodge? Did that woman say something bad about me in front of you?" I looked at her and suddenly felt angry. What right did she have to speak ill of Aunt Zhang? Aunt Zhang is wonderful. She's not the kind of person you say she is. Mom was furious and tried to hit me again. I didn't want to talk to her, so I turned and ran. "She's only taken care of you for a few days. And you're already siding with her. I'm your mother, you ungrateful thing. Just like your deadbeat dad." My steps quickened, her voice growing fainter behind me. "Is a ghost chasing you, running so fast?" Aunt Zhang took a tissue and wiped the sweat from my forehead. Dad made a shushing gesture, lowering his voice to warn me to keep quiet and not wake my brother. The two looked at their younger brother with faces full of affection. I feel like my own name is rather redundant. I quietly walked out of the hospital room, choosing a brief escape. Aunt Zhang was discharged from the hospital soon after. On the day my younger brother turned 1 month old, many people came to the house, making it lively and bustling. I hid in the corner, watching them hold my brother in their arms, their mouths filled with praises for his beauty and hopes for his boundless future. I thought perhaps when I was as young as him, I was also held in someone's arms, with the same kind of expectations. "What are you thinking about?" A gentle hand rested on my shoulder, and I turned to see Aunt Zhang's kind face. I rubbed my eyes dejectedly. "It's nothing. I bet you're thinking that now that Auntie has a little brother, she doesn't want you anymore, right?" My thoughts were guessed, and my face flushed red instantly. The moment I saw my brother, the darkest thought even crossed my mind. If only he would disappear. I pouted. "I didn't." "All right, come here. Let Auntie give you a hug." In the unfamiliar yet warm embrace, I was enveloped. "Don't worry, little fish. Auntie won't abandon you. Auntie is still waiting for you to earn money and take me to live a good life." My nose tingled, and I felt like crying. "Little fish, do you want to go to school?" Going to school? I was stunned because I never thought I could still go to school. Didn't Aunt Zhang want me to work to pay off the debt? Only by going to school can you gain knowledge, and with knowledge, you can earn more money. I sniffled, nodded vigorously, and earnestly promised her, "I want to go to school, so I can buy you a car and a house in the future, and give you a good life." Aunt Zhang smiled affectionately and patted my head. "You have to work hard, little fish." When I was 7 years old, I started elementary school. Every morning, Aunt Zhang would drive her electric scooter to take me to school, and in the afternoon, she would bring my younger brother to pick me up. My brother could now walk unsteadily at this point. Every time he saw me, he would show his two adorable little teeth and toddle towards me. The neighbors all praised Aunt Zhang for her good fortune, having given birth to a son and a daughter. She never explained, just smiled and accepted the compliment. Dad has been a bit nicer to me now, under Aunt Zhang's conditions. Aunt Zhang always scolds him, still her biological father. But now your daughter is closest to me, Dad grinned and said. That's because my wife is both beautiful and kind-hearted. During that time, many relatives from Aunt Zhang's side also advised her to send me away. Aunt Zhang initially declined politely, but as the topic came up repeatedly, she grew agitated. She's my own daughter. You want me to send her away? What kind of person do you take me for? Even an animal wouldn't do such a thing. I raised her, so she is my own daughter. If anyone dares to bring this up in front of me again, I won't let them off. Somehow, this remark made its way to my mother's ears. She called me to explain. Fang Yu, don't listen to your stepmother's instigation. I didn't mean it that way at all. She might not have good intentions, but Mom still loves you. I watched the busy figure in the kitchen and hung up the phone with a snap. I can still tell who's good and who's bad. When I was in 5th grade, my younger brother started kindergarten. Aunt Zhang had to drop off my brother first and then take me every day. The morning breeze lifted her hair, and I saw the marks that time had left on her. The winter in the south is damp and cold, with chilly winds seeping through every crack, chilling one to the bone and making them shiver uncontrollably. Aunt Zhang still braved the wind and rain without fail, punctually taking me to and from school, to make it more convenient for us to commute to school. Aunt Zhang even took driving lessons and got her driver's license during the summer vacation. Dad bought her a car for daily use. She drives my brother and me to and from school every morning. Under her careful nurturing, my grades are excellent, and I almost get perfect scores on every exam, looking at the room full of awards. Aunt Zhang can't stop smiling. She praises my intelligence to everyone she meets. On the other hand, my younger brother often had his ears twisted by Aunt Zhang, who scolded him for being foolish. Look at you, and then look at your sister. How can there be such a big difference? My brother grimaced in pain but asked with a grin, then why didn't you give birth to me smarter? Aunt Zhang, unable to hold back her anger, picked up a feather duster and started hitting him with it. My younger brother ran while shouting for help. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. When I was in middle school, my dad partnered with someone to open a restaurant. Aunt Zhang also went to help. Life at home was gradually getting better. By the end of the year, our family even went to look at houses, 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms. Aunt Zhang took my hand and asked me what kind of decor style I wanted for the bedroom. Finally settled on a light yellow decor. I finally have my own room. Aunt Zhang also bought me a new phone and told me not to tell my brother. She said it was a birthday gift for me. My eyes are a bit moist. Only she would remember my birthday. During the summer vacation, Aunt Zhang and I went shopping at the mall and ran into my mom. Her belly was swollen high, and she held the hand of a little boy about the same age as my brother. Seeing me, she gave an awkward smile. Fang Yu, it's been so long since we last met. You've grown so much. Time really flies. I pursed my lips, looking at her clothes that had been washed until they were somewhat faded, and remained silent for a long time. The voice that said it would be easier to just beat her to death lingered in my mind. My mother nudged the boy forward and said to him, Anan, hurry up and call her sister. This is your sister. The little boy looked at me with unfamiliarity and turned his head away proudly. I don't have a sister. This is my sister. My brother frowned. Blocking me and shouting loudly, Aunt Zhang stepped forward to pull my brother aside, making room for me. My mother looked at me, her mouth opening and closing several times as if she wanted to say something but held back. In the end, she simply asked if I was doing well now. I nodded and told her I was doing well. Before leaving, she grabbed my hand. Fang Yu, come visit when you have time. Mom will make your favorite spicy shrimp for you. I pulled my hand away and replied coldly, I'm allergic to shrimp, didn't you know? My mother's smile froze on her face. She wanted to say something more, but I had already run far away, because the person I love most is waiting for me ahead. Later, my mom called me and said she had given birth to another brother. Asked me if I can help take care of her child for a while during the summer vacation. Aunt Zhang snatched the phone away and scolded her. If you can't afford to raise children, then don't have them. How shameless are you to have my daughter take care of your child? Let me tell you, there's no way in hell. After hanging up the phone, she warned me again, if you dare to go, I'll break your legs. I smiled and agreed. I never even thought about going. Okay, from the moment she left me at the doorstep, I decided I didn't need her anymore. In the blink of an eye, I entered high school. The college entrance exam is like an impending storm, evoking an indescribable sense of tension. Everyone is immersed in the atmosphere of learning. To avoid affecting my college entrance exam, Aunt Zhang sent my younger brother to stay at our grandmother's house. Grandma pointed at her and scolded, "She's not even your own flesh and blood, why bother putting in so much effort?" Aunt Zhang still smiled and dealt with her. Grandma scolded her for being heartless, saying she had never cared so much even for her own child. She then turned around, picked up 2 boxes of milk, handed them to Aunt Zhang, and told her to make sure I studied hard. On the day of the college entrance exam, Aunt Zhang brought her son to cheer me on. She stood in the crowd wearing a rose-red cheongsam, looking at me with hopeful eyes, the corners of which bore the marks of time. My heart instantly felt a pang of sorrow. After finishing the college entrance exam, I secretly found a part-time job. I saved up 2,000 yuan before the start of the school term. I used this money to buy a gold necklace as a birthday gift for Aunt Zhang. She held the necklace, grinning from ear to ear. That night, she posted 2 updates on her social media. When my mom found out I had bought Aunt Zhang a necklace, she called me that very night. She hinted around, saying I had no conscience and couldn't tell who my real mother was, her words dripping with bitterness. I pretended the signal was bad and secretly hung up the phone. As a result, she went to Aunt Zhang's comments to make sarcastic remarks, saying Aunt Zhang was mean and bitter, telling me to work a summer job to buy her a gold necklace, and demanding that my mother return the necklace to her. Aunt Zhang ignored her provocation and quietly posted my admission letters from Tsinghua and Peking University, along with the 150,000 yuan reward from the city. My mother could no longer sit still and knocked on my door the next day. I opened the door to find my mother standing at the entrance, holding large and small bags of gifts, smiling obsequiously. As soon as she saw me, she affectionately grabbed my hand, trying to get close. "Xiao Yu, my dear daughter, I knew you could do it." I coldly withdrew my hand and kept my distance from her. I can't even remember the last time I had contact with her. "What are you doing here?" "Of course, I'm here to take you home. You've suffered so much here all these years. It breaks my heart." Mom spoke so sincerely that she even managed to fool herself. She definitely doesn't feel sorry for me. I suspect she came for something else. I glanced at her, my eyes filled with impatience. "I'm doing just fine here. If you have something to say, just say it." Mom immediately tensed up and quickly grabbed my hand, saying, "Didn't you get a 150,000 yuan reward? I just gave birth to your little brother, and I'm a bit short on money. Could you lend it to me?" "Oh, here comes the freeloader. You're like a dung beetle wearing a mask. Utterly shameless. How dare you even open your mouth? This is my daughter's money. What does it have to do with you?" Aunt Zhang pushed me toward the house and immediately unleashed a torrent of words at my mom. Mom already had a grudge against Aunt Zhang, and now she didn't hold back, shouting back, "What do you mean your daughter? I'm her real mother. Who do you think you are? So it's you who's been stirring up trouble between us mother and daughter behind our backs. Stepmothers really are no good." Aunt Zhang stood with her hands on her hips, looking down her nose at her. "Ha, you really have no shame. When Xiao Yu needed you, where were you?" Her own mother. I can't even be bothered to say it. When this child was left at my doorstep, she was as thin as a kitten. I've never seen a birth mother like you. Now that Xiao Yu has made something of herself, you come crawling back with that shameless face of yours, wanting to take her back. Who gave you the nerve? I'm telling you right now, unless she wants to go with you willingly, you won't lay a finger on her. Hearing the commotion, my younger brother didn't even finish watching his favorite show, Boonie Bears. He ran over barefoot and stood protectively in front of me, eyeing the person at the door warily. My mother was immediately speechless, looking at me and stammering without being able to say a word. Aunt Zhang also looked at me, her eyes wandering, flickering with unease. I knew she was waiting for me to make a decision. I lowered my gaze, looked at Aunt Zhang, and said, "Mom, I'm hungry. Let's go home and eat." Aunt Zhang was stunned, taking a long moment to react before she burst into tears of joy, wiping her eyes as she hugged my shoulders. "Great. Let's go home for dinner." Mom stood frozen in place, staring at the long-closed door, unable to leave for a long time. After graduating from university, my classmates and I chose to start a business. we have developed an entertaining and stress-relieving game that, upon its release, has gained immense popularity among young people. That year, I added many new things to our home. Aunt Zhang's hair has turned much whiter, but her mental state is exceptionally good. I bought her a villa and several shops. After my mother found out about this, she came to my house several times to make a scene, but I refused to open the door. She somehow got my phone number and called and texted me every day, crying and making a fuss, insisting on seeing me. I heard that her two sons are both quite useless, living off their parents at home every day. She demanded that I buy a villa for each of her two sons and arrange company positions for them. I looked at my phone, smiled, and blocked and deleted her. Aunt Zhang pointed at my brother and warned him, "If you dare to mess with your sister's company or money, I won't let you off easy." My brother rolled his eyes at her. "Don't underestimate me, okay? I have my own career now." Aunt Zhang and I exchanged a glance and both laughed. At the age of 28, I married my college classmate. On the wedding day, Aunt Zhang attended as my mother. I held her hand and introduced her to my colleagues and friends as my mother. Tears in her eyes, she proudly told others that I was the best rose she had ever nurtured. On my wedding day, my biological mother also came, but she was stopped by security before she could even enter the door. She shouted, "Why are you stopping me? I'm her real mother." The security guard glanced at her impatiently and said, "Her real mother is sitting right over there. Who do you think you are?" Later, she still refused to give up and tried every possible way to find me. I pay no attention to any of it. Love is a piggy bank. If you haven't put anything in, you can't take anything out. The end. System countdown. 3 seconds. Task. Make Pei Yen kneel and lick the red wine off the tip of your shoe. Reward. 10 million. Penalty. Erasure. I look at the man before me, who has been expelled from his family and left penniless, yet still stands with his spine straight. He was once the most dazzling figure in the capital's elite circles. But now he is a stray dog that everyone can bully. It was also the male lead I was bound to by the system, the one I had to torment to death. The entire room fell into dead silence. My so-called parents and the fake daughter they cherished as a treasure were looking at me as if I were trash, waiting for me to self-destruct, waiting for Pei Yen to explode. I laughed, raising the wine glass. I poured the crimson liquid all over my white high heels. Kneel down, lick it clean. Everyone thought he would flip the table and slap me, but Pei Yen merely raised his eyes, his dark pupils devoid of hatred, holding only a trace of an imperceptible smile. He moved, under the horrified gazes of the crowd. He knelt on one knee. A cold, mechanical voice frantically bombarded my mind. 2, 1, I feel as if an invisible hand is gripping my heart, almost suffocating me. Eradication program initiating. Fuck, don't. I screamed inwardly, but on my face, I had to maintain the arrogant smile of a villainess. "Pei Yen, what are you still waiting for? Do I need to invite you?" I gently tapped the tip of my shoe against his chin, a gesture filled with utter humiliation. Gasps of shock echoed all around. My dear sister, Shi Wei, the fake heiress who had been pampered by the Shi family for 20 years, immediately stepped forward with tears welling in her eyes. "Sis, how could you treat brother Ian like this? He's already pitiful enough." She stood weakly in front of Pei Yen, like a mother hen protecting her chicks. "Pitiful? He's not pitiful at all. The balance in his bank account is more than your entire family's combined. You're the one who's truly pitiful, being sold out and still helping to count the money." I was cursing like crazy in my mind, but a vicious smile curled at the corner of my lips. "Get lost. Say one more word, and I'll humiliate you too." Shi Wei's tears fell instantly, like pearls, one by one. My father, Shi Zhenhua, was so furious his face turned ashen as he pointed at my nose and scolded, "Shi you disgrace, you've completely shamed our Shi family. Apologize to Ian right now." My mother held Shi Wei, comforting her with heartache. "Don't cry, Wei Wei, it's all my fault. I never should have brought this troublemaker back. See, these are the family I've been reunited with for a year since returning to the Shi household." In their eyes, I, the true heiress who was lost for 20 years, am nothing but a low-class, malicious wild girl, and Shi Wei, that imposter who took over the nest, is their only precious daughter. Ding, detected betrayal by family, hatred value plus 10,086, system task completion rate being determined. The mechanical voice sounded again. I had no time to argue with these blind idiots. All my attention is focused on the man kneeling on one knee before me. "Pei Yen, The male lead in the original story, who endured humiliation and hardship, eventually made a triumphant return, reclaimed everything, and had the villainous, me, tortured to death. He raised his head, his gaze passing over Sherway's shoulder and landing precisely on my face. That gaze held no humiliation, no anger, only a trace of helplessness and indulgence, as if saying, "Hurry up, I'm waiting to go home for dinner, baby, just bear with it a little longer. After we pull off this big job, I'll buy you the best massage chair." I frantically signaled to him with my eyes. He curved the corners of his lips almost imperceptibly. The next second, he gently pushed Sherway aside, who was blocking his way. The movement was tender, yet carried an undeniable force. Sherway stumbled, looking at him in disbelief. "Brother Ian." Pei Yan didn't look at her. He was only focused on the glaring red on the tip of my shoe. Then, under the silent gaze of everyone present, he slowly bent down. Warm breath sprayed on my ankle, sending a shiver through me. "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, don't actually lick it. That damn system didn't say anything about using your tongue." I was so nervous that my toes curled up. However, Pei Yan just buried his face very low, blocking everyone's view with a perfect angle. I only felt a sudden warmth at the tip of my toe. He swiftly brushed his thumb against my shoe, then stuck out his tongue and licked his thumb. His movements were as fast as a phantom, yet slow enough for that foolish system, which only understood visual cues, to capture the licking motion. Ding, mission complete, reward, 10 million, has been credited to your account, elimination program deactivated. The sound of a bank notification echoed in my mind, and my heart, which had been hanging in suspense, finally settled back into place. Done. I fought back the urge to hug Pei Yan and give him a big kiss. Staying in character, I kicked him away with disgust. Of course, it was a gentle kick. "Get lost, don't dirty my eyes." Pei Yan took the opportunity to slump to the ground, hanging his head, his shoulders trembling slightly, looking as pitiful as could be. Sherway let out a scream, rushing over to help him up. "Brother Ian, are you okay?" Sherway's parents also rushed over, pointing at me and cursing even more fiercely. "Beast, you're nothing but a beast. How could our Sher family have a daughter like you?" The surrounding guests also pointed and whispered about me, their disdainful gazes cutting like knives. "Go ahead and scold, the harsher the better, the more it pleases me. After all, every word of your scorn sounds to my ears like the delightful chime of money arriving." I couldn't be bothered to deal with these NPCs. I turned around, stepped into my $1,000,000 heels, and strode away amidst a chorus of curses. I didn't go home. Instead, I went back to the doghouse I shared with Pei Yan, a 50-square-meter, old, dilapidated, and cramped apartment in the city center, without an elevator. This is what I specifically rented to show the system in order to abuse Pei Yan. As soon as I opened the door, I was yanked inside by a powerful force. The door slammed shut with a bang. The next second, I was pinned firmly against the door, and a scorching kiss descended, carrying a sense of punishment. "Ouch. Are you a dog or what?" I pushed him away, rubbing my tingling lips. Pei Yan chuckled softly, his forehead pressed against mine, his voice hoarse. "Back in the banquet hall, did you enjoy kicking me?" I guiltily averted my gaze. "That was just to complete the mission." His voice rose at the end as he pinched my chin, forcing me to look at him. "Kicking me once, 10 million, sure you sure make money easily." He's jealous, he's definitely jealous. This dog of a man is absolutely envious that I make money more easily than he does. I cleared my throat and said with righteous confidence, "We're partners. Isn't my money your money too?" Pei Yan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, how come I didn't know about that? Now you do." I stood on tiptoe and planted a firm kiss on his lips. "Pei, the great hero, you've worked hard today. Tell me, what reward do you want?" Pei Yan's eyes darkened slightly as his fingers kneaded my waist with just the right amount of pressure. "Reward." He leaned close to my ear, his warm breath brushing against it. "First, hand over the leg you just kicked me with." My face flushed with heat. Damn it, I knew he was up to no good, this secretly perverted dog of a man. An hour later, I collapsed on the sofa, feeling as if my legs no longer belonged to me. Pei Yanjia emerged from the bathroom, refreshed and energetic, holding my phone in his hand with a beaming smile. "Transfer successful." He shook the phone screen, which displayed a transfer record of 5 million. My heart aches as if it's bleeding. "Pei Yan, you're going too far. We agreed on a 70-30 split. What gives you the right to take half? He's my person. His acting skills were honed by me, so I should be the one taking the larger share of the money. Pei Yan walked over, scooped me into his arms, and rested his chin on top of my head. I sell my looks and dignity, you just kick, 50-50 split, very fair, bullshit. I didn't even put any force into that kick, but I knelt. His tone was faintly resentful. Do you know who these knees of mine have knelt for, besides you? I instantly fell silent. Damn it, he's got me under his thumb again. Back when I first transmigrated into this book, I was bound to this damn system that would kill me if I didn't complete tasks. The first task was to go to the abandoned building of the bankrupt Pei family, find Pei Yan who was living on the streets, and then humiliate him thoroughly. I went there trembling with fear, only to find out that this big shot hadn't gone bankrupt at all. The so-called downfall was merely a disguise for him to weed out the family's traitors and lure the snake out of its hole, and he had long since awakened, knowing he was the male lead in the book. The two of us, awakened ones, stared at each other in disbelief. In the end, under the threat of being erased by the system, we reached a pleasant cooperation agreement. I play the vicious supporting female character, and he plays the long-suffering little victim. We, husband and wife, work together to exploit the system. What are you thinking about? Pei Yan pinched my cheek. I'm thinking, when can we finally take down this damn system? I sighed. Acting every day is exhausting, you know. Especially when facing that bunch of oddballs from the Sure family. Pei Yan chuckled softly. Soon, he pulled a small USB drive from his pocket and handed it to me. What is this? Evidence of tax evasion by Sure Zhenhua's company. Pei Yan's tone was very calm, as if he were commenting on the weather. And Sure Wei, the records of embezzling company funds to buy luxury goods over the years. My eyes lit up, and I sat up abruptly. Holy shit, where did you get this? Have you forgotten what I do for a living? It was only then that I remembered. Before his bankruptcy, Pei Yan was the top hacker in the capital's elite circles. Such a trivial matter is a piece of cake for him. I excitedly kissed the USB drive and exclaimed, Honey, you're amazing. Pei Yan narrowed his eyes, looking at me dangerously. You kissed it but not me. I immediately fawned over him, leaning in to give him a big, loud kiss on the cheek. Husband is the best. Husband is number one in the world. He curled his lips in satisfaction and pressed me back into his embrace. Just then, the cold mechanical voice in my head sounded again. Ding, new task released, mission scenario, rainstorm day, task content, drive Pei Yan, who has a high fever of 40 degrees, out of the house and make him stay in the rain all night. Reward, 30 million, punishment, 1 hour of electric shock. Me, Pei Yan, we exchanged a glance, both seeing the speechlessness in each other's eyes. 30 million, the system is really going all out this time. I stroked my chin and looked at Pei Yan. Shall we act it out? Pei Yan picked up his phone and glanced at the weather forecast. There's a thunderstorm tomorrow. He paused, raised his eyes to look at me, his gaze burning. Act, however. He changed his tone. This time I want 70%. Me, Pei Yan, don't go too far. It's just getting caught in the rain. Are you trying to jack up the price? He said slowly. A high fever of 40 degrees, and still having to stay out in the rain all night. This is a work-related injury. You'll have to pay extra. Me, fine, you're ruthless. The next day, the sky was gloomy, with the look of an impending storm. Pei Yan was very professional in his illness. I applied a hot towel to his forehead for a long time. It was burning hot, and his cheeks were flushed with an unnatural redness. The thermometer showed a precise 40 degrees, truly worthy of being a film emperor. This acting is absolutely top-notch. As I fed him water, I was calculating in my mind, 3 million, even if he takes 70%, I can still get 900,000. Not bad, not bad. Cough, cough. Pei Yan coughed weakly twice, his voice hoarse as he spoke. You. I feel terrible. The corners of his eyes were red, and he looked at me with a damp gaze, like a large abandoned dog. My heart is melting. Don't be scared, sweetie. In a moment, I'll gently toss you out. I promise you won't get hurt. I comforted him softly. Be good, just hold on a little longer. By evening, a fierce wind howled outside the window, and raindrops as big as beans pelted against the glass with a loud, crackling sound. The moment had arrived. I took a deep breath. Gathering my emotions, in the next second, I slammed the water glass onto the floor with a sharp, piercing crash. Pei Yan, stop pretending to be dead. I yanked the blanket off and roughly pulled him out of bed. Sick, if you're sick, get the hell out, don't die here. It's bad luck. Pei Yan stumbled as I dragged him to the door. He weakly grabbed the doorframe, panting as he pleaded, Yu, it's pouring outside. I really feel awful, please. Don't kick me out. His voice was choked with tears. Tugging at my heartstrings, keep acting. The Oscars owe you a little golden statue. I steeled my heart and pried his fingers open, one by one. Beg me, what right do you have to beg me? You're nothing but a dog I keep now. When I tell you to get out, you get out. After saying that, I mustered all my strength and pushed him out the door. Bang! The door was slammed shut by me with great force. The world fell silent. Ding. First stage of the mission completed. Please maintain the malicious persona, host, and ensure the target character is left out in the rain all night. I leaned against the door, listening to Pei Yan's desperate, pounding and agonized wails from outside. Bro, that's enough. The neighbors are going to call the police. I took out my phone and sent him a WeChat message. Me, go to the underground garage. There are clean clothes, cold medicine, and late-night snacks in the Rolls-Royce. Pei Yan replied instantly, received. Me. Remember to put your wet clothes in the car to dry. Don't actually catch a cold. Pei Yan. Got it, bossy. I put down my phone and went to take a shower in a good mood. An hour of electric shock. Just thinking about it is terrifying. It's so comfortable to get freebies. However, just as I finished my shower, the doorbell started ringing frantically. I frowned. Who could it be? Looking through the peephole. It turned out to be Shi Wei and her parents. The three of them were drenched. Looking like drowned rats, standing righteously at my doorstep, Shi Wei had the loudest voice. Yu, open the door. I know you're inside. How could you treat Brother Yan like that? My dad also roared. Open the door, you unfilial daughter. We're going to teach you a lesson today. Me, do these idiots have GPS installed? How do they always show up so perfectly on time? I couldn't be bothered with them and turned to head back to my bedroom. But just then, the system's warning sound went off. Warning, warning, important plot character detected. Host, please open the door immediately and humiliate the male lead in front of them again to solidify your villainous persona. Mission failure will trigger double punishment. I paused in my steps. Double punishment. 2 hours of electric shock. Fuck. I resignedly walked back and pulled the door open. Outside the door, Shi Wei was about to continue scolding when she saw me and froze for a moment. Then, with sharp eyes, she spotted Pei Yan collapsed at the top of the stairs. Pei Yan was soaked from head to toe, his damp bangs dripping with water, his face pale, and his lips tinged with purple. He looked as if he might collapse at any moment. So dedicated, truly dedicated. No wonder he's the man who takes 70%. Shi Wei's tears burst forth once again as she screamed and rushed over. Brother Ian, what's wrong with you? My parents also rushed over, checking for breath and feeling foreheads, causing a chaotic scene. Hot, your forehead is burning, my mother exclaimed. Sure you venomous woman, look at what you've done to him. My father pointed at me, trembling with rage. If anything happens to him, I won't let you off. I crossed my arms, watching their performance with a cold gaze. Oh, won't let me off. I laughed, a cold and mocking laugh. Whether he lives or dies, it's none of my damn business. I wish he'd die sooner. After saying that, I took out a basin of cold water from the nearby shoe cabinet, which I had prepared for watering the flowers. Splash. Without a moment's hesitation, I splashed the liquid all over Pei Yan and the three people surrounding him. The entire room fell into a deathly silence once again. Shi Wei let out an ear-piercing scream. Her most treasured limited edition white dress was now soaked and clinging to her body, stained with dust from the stairwell, looking utterly disheveled. My parents were also stunned, wiping the cold water from their faces as they stared at me in disbelief, as if looking at a madwoman. Yes, I am a madwoman, driven crazy by you idiots. I tossed the plastic basin aside, and it landed with a loud clatter. What's all the noise about? What are you doing crying at my doorstep in the middle of the night? If you want to cry, go cry somewhere else. Don't dirty my floor. My voice wasn't loud, but each word struck their hearts like an ice pick. Shi Wei trembled with anger, pointing at me. Sure you're utterly unreasonable. I'm unreasonable. I laughed as if I'd heard the biggest joke. The three of you show up at my doorstep in the middle of the night, trying to dictate what happens to my boyfriend's life. Who's the unreasonable one here? He's your boyfriend. You should treat him well. My mother retorted sharply. How I treat him is my business, I sneered, looking around at them. Who do you think you are? His father, his mother, or some distant relative he hasn't contacted in 800 years? They were left speechless by my retort. I descended the stairs step by step, my high heels clicking on the concrete floor with a tap, tap, tap sound, as if stepping on their fragile nerves. I walked up to Pei Yan, crouched down, pinched his chin, and forced him to lift his head. His face, drenched in cold water, turned even paler, with only a trace of color lingering on his lips. He looked at me, his eyes, weak and helpless, his long eyelashes still adorned with droplets of water, a sight that stirred pity in anyone who saw him keep acting. Such a sense of brokenness, it's a shame not to star in an art film. Yet my words were dripping with sarcasm. Pei Yan, do you see it now? This is your good sister, your good uncle and aunt. What else can they do besides cry, shout, and blame me? Can they hire a doctor for you? Can they give you money for treatment? I paused, leaned close to his ear, and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear. Can they give you 30 million? Pei Yan's body stiffened almost imperceptibly. Then, in a voice as faint as a thread, he played along with my act. You, stop talking. Why should I stop? I straightened up, looking down at him, and at the three fools behind him. Do you think they're here to save you? Don't be naive. They just want to use you to show off their own kindness and nobility. Look at Shi Wei, crying so pitifully. If you didn't know better, you'd think her parents had died. Shi Wei's face turned pale with anger. And you too, I said, looking at my so-called parents. Instead of wasting time worrying about someone else's boyfriend, you should go home and worry about your own company. I heard the tax authorities have been conducting very strict inspections lately. Shi Zhenhua's expression changed dramatically. How do you know? How I know isn't important. I smiled. What matters is, if you don't get out of here now, tomorrow's headlines won't just be about tax issues. I took out my phone and played a video. In the video, Shi Wei was in a luxury store, spending extravagantly and swiping the company's supplementary card. The time, location, and amount were all clearly visible. Shi Wei's face instantly drained of all color. You investigated me, of course. I put away my phone and said leisurely, should I keep you around for the new year? The three members of the Shi family were completely dumbfounded. They probably never imagined that the timid country girl who endured their beatings and insults in front of them actually held their secrets in her hands. I had savored their horrified expressions long enough before leisurely turning to Pei Yan, who was still unconscious. As for him, I stretched out my foot and nudged his arm with the tip of my shoe. He won't die. Even if he does, I'll bury him myself. No need for any of you to worry. Now, get out. I practically roared the last word. The Shi family of three were terrified by my unhinged, ruthless demeanor and scrambled away in a panic. In the hallway, only Pei Yan and I remained once again, along with a floor covered in water. Ding, emergency situation resolved. Villainous persona successfully reinforced. Task continues. I breathed a sigh of relief, crouched down, and patted Pei Yan's face. Hey, Mr. Movie Star, stop pretending, everyone's gone. Pei Yan slowly opened his eyes, his gaze no longer showing any trace of weakness. As clear and bright as a searchlight, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his embrace. His voice carried a hint of grievance. Cold, me, you fucking deserve it. I dragged Pei Yan back into the house and threw him into the bathroom, telling him to take a hot shower. Meanwhile, I was left to miserably mop up the mess in the hallway. By the time I was exhausted and returned to the living room, Pei Yan had already changed into clean pajamas and was sitting on the sofa, leisurely sipping the ginger tea I had made for him. Seeing me come in, he waved me over. Come here. I walked over with a huff. What? He pulled me onto his lap, wrapped his arms around me from behind, picked up the hairdryer, and started drying my hair. The warm air blew against my scalp, feeling very comfortable. My tense nerves gradually relaxed as I leaned into his embrace, too lazy to move. Just now, thank you. Pei Yan's voice came from above, muffled. Thank me for what? For standing up for me, I scoffed. Don't flatter yourself. I did it for my own sake. I can't stand them. Seeing them annoys me. Pei Yan didn't say anything, just continued drying my hair with even gentler movements. Once my hair was dry, he turned off the hairdryer and rested his chin on my shoulder. How do you plan to handle the Shi family matter? What do you mean? How to handle it? I counted on my fingers. The evidence you gave me is enough to put Shi Zhenhua behind bars for a few years. As for Shi Wei, embezzling public funds on such a large scale is also enough to land her in serious trouble. You want to send them all to prison, otherwise, keep them around for the new year. I rolled my eyes. You know exactly how they treated me. I'm no saint. Pei Yan chuckled softly and kissed my cheek. Yeah, I know, my Yu always repays a grudge. That's good. I felt a bit embarrassed by his praise and nudged him. All right, stop flattering me, let's get some sleep. We have a tough battle to fight tomorrow. According to the system's requirements, Pei Yan had to stand in the rain all night. Although he could sleep in the car, the next morning, he had to put on a pitiful look as if he had been tormented all night. This all depends on acting skills. Pei Yan held me tightly, not letting go. Like a clingy big cat, Yu. Shouldn't there be some compensation for tonight's work injury? I looked at him warily. 30 million, you take 70%, and that's still not enough. He shook his head, his dark eyes burning as he stared at me. Money is money, compensation is compensation. He leaned in and whispered in my ear. Tonight, I'm on top. Me, I fucking knew it. This opportunistic bastard. Early the next morning, I woke up feeling refreshed and invigorated. While Pei Yanza had 2 huge dark circles under his eyes, looking utterly exhausted as if he had indulged in too much pleasure, something seems off. I guiltily averted my gaze and pushed him out the door. Go on, best actor, it's your time to shine. Pei Yan gave me a resentful look and resignedly lay back down at the stairwell from last night. I closed the door, and not long after, I heard the sound of Shi Wei's ambulance rushing over. He's quite loyal. He really called an ambulance for him. Through the peephole, I watched as Pei Yan was lifted onto a stretcher by a group of doctors and nurses, with Shi Wei weeping and wailing beside him. Putting on a show of deep affection, I leisurely made myself a cup of coffee. Ding, mission completed, reward, 30 million, has been deposited. Congratulations, host, your account balance has exceeded 50 million. Release ultimate mission, betrayed by all, task content. At the moment Pei Yan needs you the most, publicly announce your breakup with him and become engaged to Zhou Xiang, the rising star of the capital's elite, placing a cuckold's hat on him for the whole world to see. Mission reward, 1 billion in cash, and, unbinding from the system. My hand holding the coffee trembled violently. Unbind, did I hear that right? Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, am I finally free? I was so excited I almost jumped up on the spot. 100 million. And the binding is lifted. This is like a pie falling from the sky. But, who is Zhou Xiang, a new elite in the capital? How come I've never heard of him? And, cheating on Pei Yan, I glanced at the 30 million deposited in my mobile banking account, then thought about the 100 million. Sorry, husband, you have to wear this green hat. I immediately sent a WeChat message to Pei Yan. Me, urgent notice. The ultimate mission is here, 1 billion, and the binding will be lifted. Me, the mission content is: I have to break up with you and then get engaged to someone named Zhou Xiang. Me, honey, I'm sorry you had to go through this. Once this is over, we'll go abroad and buy an island. The message was sent, but there was no response. I frowned. Why aren't you replying? Still acting at the hospital. I waited a little longer, but there was still no movement. A sudden sense of foreboding crept into my heart. I quickly got dressed and rushed to the hospital, just as I reached the door of the ward. I heard Shi Wei's gentle voice coming from inside. Brother Ian, you're awake. You scared me to death. Then came a voice I had never heard before, cold and unfamiliar, belonging to Pei Yan. Who are you? Do we know each other? I was struck as if by lightning. My entire body froze at the doorway of the hospital room. Lost his memory. Pei Yan, lost his memory. No way. Going this far. Is this melodramatic plot for real? I peeked through the crack in the door. On the hospital bed, Pei Yan's face was still pale, but his gaze had changed. No longer the gentle gaze filled with indulgence and tolerance when looking at me, but a complete, icy unfamiliarity, as if we were truly meeting for the first time. Shi Wei froze for a moment, then her eyes reddened, and tears welled up again. Brother Ian, don't you recognize me anymore? I'm Wei Wei. She grabbed Pei Yan's hand, crying as if her heart were breaking. We grew up together. How could you not recognize me? Pei Yan frowned and subtly withdrew his hand. I'm sorry, I don't remember anything. The doctor walked in, holding a medical report. The patient's hippocampus was partially damaged due to high fever and prolonged exposure to rain, resulting in temporary memory impairment. In simple terms, it's amnesia. Wei covered her mouth, looking as if the sky had fallen. Meanwhile, I stood outside the door, my mind in turmoil. Amnesia, not earlier, not later, but right at the final mission. What kind of top-tier coincidence is this, or is it? Suddenly, I remembered last night, Pei Yan's words. This time, I want 70%. Is this dog of a man doing it on purpose? Is he trying to use amnesia to drive up the price? 80% of 100 million. The more I think about it, the more likely it seems that scheming Pei Yan is definitely capable of doing something like this. Well, you, Pei Yan, actually pulled this trick on me. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Well, quite lively in here. The moment I spoke, everyone in the hospital room turned their attention to me. Wei saw me and immediately bristled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. You, how dare you show up? It's all your fault that Brother Ian ended up like this. I didn't even acknowledge her, walking straight to the bedside and looking down at Pei Yan. Lost your memory. Pei Yan raised his head, looking at me with those unfamiliar dark eyes, his brow tightly furrowed. Who are you? I laughed. I laughed so hard I was shaking like a flower in the wind. Who am I? I leaned down, close to his ear, and said in a voice only he could hear, with a fierce tone, I'm your father, Pei Yan. His pupils seemed to contract sharply. Wei couldn't stand it any longer and rushed over, trying to push me. You're going too far. Brother Ian is already in this state, and you're still bullying him. I grabbed her wrist with a backhand motion and flung it away forcefully. Get lost. What business is it of yours when I talk to my boyfriend? Boyfriend? Wei was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing as if she had heard a joke. Have you no shame? You've hurt Brother Yan so badly. How could he still be your boyfriend? She turned to Pei Yan and said softly, Brother Yan, don't listen to her nonsense. She's a bad person. She was the one who drove you out into the rain. I crossed my arms and watched Pei Yan with a leisurely, expectant gaze. I want to see how he plans to carry on with this act of his. Pei Yan fell silent for a moment. He looked at me, then glanced at Wei, a hint of confusion in his eyes. Then, he slowly began to speak, his voice hoarse. Was it you who drove me out? His gaze fell upon me, carrying a hint of inquiry. I nodded, admitting it straightforwardly. Yes, why? Just because I don't like you. Is that not allowed? I challenged him with a defiant look. Everyone thought Pei Yan would be furious, would despise me. Even I myself was prepared for him to play along with my act, performing a scene of sudden realization after amnesia, denouncing the toxic ex-girlfriend. However, Pei Yan simply looked at me quietly for a few seconds. Then, he made a move that no one, including me, expected. He reached out his hand to me, although I don't remember. But if it's you, he paused, and a weak smile actually appeared on his pale face. There must be a reason for it. So, come here, let me hold you. The entire hall fell into a deathly silence for the third time. Me, Wei. System, I was stunned. Wei was also stunned. Even the system in my mind seemed to have crashed for a long time due to this godlike twist. Not uttering a single word. What is this situation? What about the promised amnesia? What about the promised price hike? Pei Yan, you're not following the script. Damn it, I froze in place, my mind completely blank. Wei was the first to react. She screamed, Brother Yan, have you lost your mind? She's the one who ruined you like this. How can you still? You're being very noisy. Pei Yan coldly interrupted her, the warmth in his eyes dropping to freezing point. This was the first time I had seen him show such undisguised disgust toward anyone other than me. Wei's face instantly paled, tears welling up in her eyes, looking as aggrieved as a 200-pound child. Get out. Pei Yan's voice was not loud, but it carried an undeniable sense of pressure. Wei bit her lip, looking to the doctor and nurse beside her for help. However, no one dared to speak. After all, even if Pei Yan had gone bankrupt, the commanding presence ingrained in his very bones was still enough to overwhelm everyone present. Wei could only hold back her tears in the end, stomped her feet, glared at me resentfully, and ran out. Finally, the ward fell silent. Pei Yan's gaze fell back on me. He still had his hand stretched out toward me, his posture unchanged, still not coming over. His voice softened, carrying a hint of barely noticeable coquettishness. I walked over mechanically, sitting on the edge of the bed. Then, he pulled me into his arms, his chin rested on my shoulder, his hot breath brushing against my neck. "Yu," he called my name, his voice low and hoarse. My head hurts, I froze all over. This address. He didn't lose his memory, damn it, I knew it. I pushed him away abruptly, wanting to question what the hell he was up to, but as soon as I met his clear and innocent eyes, my words got stuck in my throat. No, I can't expose him yet, the system is still here, and I haven't figured out what he really wants to do. I can only play along with his words. If you have a headache, call a doctor. What good is hugging me? I complained, but my body didn't resist any further. Hugging you helps. He buried his face in the crook of my neck, like a big cat seeking comfort. Your scent makes me feel at ease. His sweet talk skills have leveled up again, as expected of you. Pei Yan, I was complaining in my heart, but I put on an impatient expression on my face. All right, stop pretending to be pitiful. I patted his back. What exactly do you want? You've even resorted to pretending to have amnesia. For the 1 billion, how much of it do you actually want? Just give me a straight answer. I lowered my voice to make sure only the two of us could hear. Pei Yan buried his face in the crook of my neck, letting out a low chuckle. It sent shivers down my spine. Yuyo, what are you talking about? He lifted his head, looking at me with a confused expression. I don't understand. Me, keep pretending, just keep pretending for me. I took a deep breath and decided to change my strategy. Pei Yan, I'm telling you, we're about to break up. I'm going to get engaged to a man named Zhou Xiang. I'm going to give you the biggest green hat ever. Are you happy? Are you thrilled? I stared into his eyes, trying to find a single crack in his composure. But there was none. He just listened quietly, then, under my astonished gaze, slowly nodded. Zhou Xiang, he repeated the name, tilting his head slightly as if in thought. The illegitimate son of the Zhou group who just returned from Wall Street recently. I was stunned. How did he know? The content of the system task is known only to me. Pei Yan seemed to see through my thoughts. He smiled and reached out to pinch my cheek. Don't be so surprised. Although I've forgotten what happened between us, I haven't forgotten my skills. Just now, before you came in, I hacked into the hospital system, and by the way, I also took a look at your phone. My WeChat chat history. I quickly reached for the phone in my pocket, only to find it empty. Pei Yan waved my phone in his hand, the screen displaying the conversation between us about 100 million, and the green hat. So, he curled the corner of his lips, smiling like a fox that had just stolen a fish. Are you going to get engaged to another man for 100 million? My scalp tingled. It's over, now everything is exposed. I looked at him, already prepared to face his anger. However, Pei Yan's reaction once again exceeded my expectations. Instead of getting angry, he looked at me with great interest. 100 million, to break the binding. He stroked his chin, deep in thought. Sounds like a good deal. He paused, looked up at me, his eyes burning with intensity. But, Yu, have you ever thought about it? Why did this Zhou Xiang suddenly appear and specifically ask to get engaged to you? And why did you suddenly receive such an ultimate mission? His words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly snapping me awake. Right, it's too much of a coincidence. Everything is just too coincidental. It's as if there's an invisible hand behind all of this, pushing everything forward, and this hand. Pei Yan and I exchanged a glance, speaking the answer in unison. The system is up to something. Pei Yan's expression darkened, all traces of his earlier playfulness gone. Before, it always passively issued tasks based on the original plot points, but this time, it actively created a plot character, Zhou Xiang, and even set up a forced scenario like an engagement. I understood instantly. It's getting desperate. I analyzed. We've been exploiting the loopholes too aggressively before, which might have shaken its fundamental logic. It must use a more intense, more uncontrollable event to forcibly steer the plot back onto the track it desires. That is, a complete and final break between me and Pei Yan, leaving me utterly isolated and abandoned by all. Only then, in despair, can he turn to the dark side and embark on the path of revenge as the original male lead, and I, the villainess, can then be rightfully killed by him. So, I have to go to this engagement. I looked at Pei Yan, feeling a bit uncertain. But, are you really okay with it? Even though I know it's just acting, being publicly cuckolded in front of the whole world is not a pleasant experience for any man. Pei Yan couldn't help but laugh at my nervous expression. He reached out and tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. Silly, it's just acting. What's wrong with me? Moreover, he paused, his gaze sharpening. This is also an opportunity, an opportunity. I was puzzled, an opportunity to completely expose it. Pei Yan's eyes gleamed with a dangerous light, like a leopard poised to strike. It thinks it's the hunter, but it doesn't realize that we're also waiting for it to slip up. This Zhou Xiang is its slip up. I instantly understood. You want to use Zhou Xiang to trace back to the system's true form. Smart. Pei Yan praised, kissing my forehead approvingly. So, this time, we need to make the act even more convincing. Not only do we need to get engaged, but we need to do it in a grand, unforgettable way that everyone knows about. We have to make everyone believe that you heartlessly abandoned me, your down and out ex-boyfriend, all for the sake of money. We have to make me look utterly miserable. I shivered involuntarily as I saw the excitement gleaming in his eyes. Damn, this lunatic, he seems to really enjoy this kind of abused script. I swallowed hard. Then, how do we split the money, Pei Yan? He looked at me helplessly and sighed. It's all yours, 100 million. It's all for you. Once this matter is settled, all the assets under my name will be yours. My eyes instantly lit up. Really, really. I excitedly threw my arms around his neck and planted a firm kiss on his cheek. Honey, you're the best. You're the greatest husband in the whole world. Pei Yan held me in his arms, feeling my enthusiasm, and the smile at the corner of his mouth grew deeper and deeper. But for some reason, I always felt that behind his smile, there was something else hidden. I always feel like I've been played by him. But $1 billion, and all his assets. Fine, if I'm being played, then I'm being played. I accept it. In the following days, I began dating Zhou Xiang very publicly. Zhou Xiang, the illegitimate son of the Zhou group, had just returned from abroad. With his handsome appearance, he stirred up a storm in the entire Beijing social circle the moment he set foot back in the country. He was indeed an NPC created by the system. His words and actions carried a programmed stiffness, but outsiders couldn't tell. All they saw was me, sure you. Quickly moving on to a rising star while Pei Yan was seriously ill in the hospital, seamlessly transitioning without a pause. In an instant, the entire high society was condemning me as gold-digging, heartless, and venomous as a snake. The Shi family seized this opportunity, desperately playing the victim in front of the media, portraying me as an utterly wicked gold-digger. Shi Wei also shed her usual fragility, transforming into a righteous advocate. Visiting the hospital daily to care for the amnesiac, Pei Yan, on social media, she subtly posted green tea quotes like, "Companionship is the longest confession of love," and, "You protect the world, I protect you." For a moment, she became the best ex-sister, praised by the entire internet, and I became the rat that everyone shouts to beat. I watched the online insults while leisurely sipping the juice Pei Yan had squeezed for me. Go ahead and curse all you want. When the truth comes out, we'll see whose face hurts then. Pei Yan sat across from me, typing code while occasionally glancing my way. Did Zhou Xiang try anything inappropriate with you? No. I shook my head. He's like a block of wood. If I so much as touch him, he freezes up as if about to crash. Pei Yan nodded in satisfaction. That's good. I found it. He turned the computer toward me. Zhou Xiang's social connections, bank transactions. Everything is fabricated out of thin air. Behind him, there's an incredibly powerful data source supporting it all. The IP address of this data source is very strange. It's not located anywhere on Earth. I leaned in to take a look. On the screen was a string of garbled code I couldn't understand. What do you mean? Meaning, Pei Yan's gaze grew unprecedentedly grave. Our opponent might be far more powerful than we imagined. It could come from a higher dimension. Higher dimensional beings. That term sent a chill down my spine. Damn. I've really messed up this time. I thought I was just taking advantage of the system, but how did it end up involving an interstellar war? Looking at Pei Yan's serious profile, I felt a bit panicked inside. So, should we still go on? Although 100 million is great, my life is more important. Pei Yan turned his head and saw my pale face. Couldn't help but laugh. He reached out and ruffled my hair, as if comforting a frightened kitten. Scared, a little, I honestly admitted. Don't be afraid. His voice was steady and powerful, carrying a reassuring force. No matter what it is, if it dares to touch my person, I have ways to make it vanish into thin air. Besides, he raised an eyebrow. 100 million, don't you want it anymore? Me, I do, of course I do, fortune favors the bold, let's do it, I have reignited my fighting spirit, so what do we do next? Next. Pei Yan's gaze fell on a push notification on my phone. The Zhou Group has grandly announced that a magnificent engagement ceremony for Mr. Zhou Xiang and Miss Shi will be held next Monday at their 7-star hotel. The next step is to attend your engagement ceremony. A cold smile curled at the corner of Pei Yan's lips. I want to see for myself what tricks this higher dimensional being is trying to play. On the day of the engagement ceremony, I wore the high-end custom-made gown worth tens of millions, sent by the Zhou family, and walked down the red carpet, arm in arm with Zhou Xiang. The flashlights went off like crazy, all the cameras were focused on me, the #1 gold digger in the capital's social circle. I could hear the guests around me discussing openly, tisk tisk, how shameless, while young Master Pei is still lying in the hospital, she's already having a grand engagement. Exactly. I heard young Master Pei lost his memory and can't remember a thing. How pitiful. Miss Shi is truly kind-hearted. Visiting him in the hospital every day, that's what true love looks like. This she'll regret it one day. I listened to these discussions, a proper smile on my face, but inside, I was wildly complaining. Regret, why should I regret? My husband is right now in the presidential suite upstairs, sipping on an 82 Lafite while watching my live broadcast. He couldn't be happier. The ceremony venue was lavishly decorated. The Shi family of 3 also attended, as the victim's family. They were seated at the main table, each wearing expressions of grief, indignation, and disdain, especially Shi Wei, who was dressed in an elegant white dress today with delicate, light makeup, looking pitiful and forming a stark contrast to my own glamorous appearance. Her gaze toward me was filled with jealousy and resentment. I knew she must be thinking, why wasn't she the one standing beside Zhou Xiang? The host stepped onto the stage and began reciting the same old, cliched blessings. Then it was time to exchange rings. Zhou Xiang opened the ring box, revealing a massive pink diamond that sparkled brilliantly under the lights. Gasps of astonishment echoed all around. I cooperatively put on an expression of surprise and greed. Tisk, not even as much as the pocket money my husband gives me. I extended my hand, waiting for Zhou Xiang to put the ring on me. Once the ring is on, the mission will be considered complete. 100 million and freedom. Here I come, however. Just as Zhou Xiang picked up the ring and was about to touch my finger, the banquet hall doors were kicked open with a loud bang from the outside. A familiar figure, backlit, appeared at the doorway. He was dressed in a faded hospital gown, his face pale and his figure gaunt. Looking utterly disheveled, it was Pei Yan, who should have been unconscious in the hospital. The entire room fell into a dead silence. Everyone stared in shock at this unexpected guest. My heart sank. Here it comes, the climax is here. I saw Pei Yan's gaze, passing over all the people, firmly locked onto my face. Those once adoring black eyes now held nothing but endless coldness and shattered despair. He walked toward me step by step, with great difficulty. Each step seemed to drain all the strength from his body. You, he spoke, his voice hoarse as if scraped by sandpaper. Why? He stood before me, asking only these 3 words. His eyes gradually reddened. A tear slid down his gaunt cheek. It hit the ground, and it hit my heart. Damn, this acting, this sense of brokenness. Pei Yan, you're a goddamn genius. I was utterly stunned by Pei Yan's acting skills. This isn't some amnesiac CEO. This is a widower who just lost his wife, honey. I was wrong. For 100 million, can I just take 30%? My heart was churning with turmoil, yet I had to maintain an air of indifference and disdain on my face. What are you doing here? I furrowed my brow, my tone dripping with disgust. You're not welcome here. Why? Pei Yan seemed not to hear my words, merely staring at me with unwavering intensity, repeating that line. Didn't we agree? He spoke very softly, as if murmuring in a dream. The people around couldn't hear him clearly, but I heard him clearly. My heart tightened. Which line did he say? Was it the one that said, act more convincingly, or the one that said, it's all yours? Seeing this, Shi Wei immediately rushed over, once again shielding Pei Yan with her body. Shi, have you no conscience at all? Brother A Yan ran out of the hospital to look for you, and this is how you treat him. She supported the unsteady Pei Yan, her eyes filled with heartache. But Pei Yan didn't even glance at her, his gaze still fixed intently on me. tell me, all of this is fake, isn't it? His voice carried a hint of humble pleading, as if, with just a nod from me, he would believe it without hesitation. I looked at his reddened eyes, my heart feeling as if it were being tightly gripped by a hand. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. If I keep acting, my heart will ache. System, hurry up and give me the money. I want to clock out. Right at that moment, the mechanical voice in my head finally rang out. Ding, detected male lead's heartbreak value has reached its peak. Ultimate mission completion 99%. Host, please put on the engagement ring to deliver the final blow. Here it comes. I took a deep breath and stopped looking into Pei Yan's eyes. I was afraid that if I looked at him for one more second, I wouldn't be able to resist rushing over to hug him. I turned around and said to Zhou Xiang, who was already frozen beside me, what are you still standing there for? Put it on me. Zhou Xiang, like a robot that had been awakened, picked up the ring and was about to slip it onto my finger. No, Pei Yan let out a roar. He abruptly pushed Shi Wei aside, rushed forward, and grabbed my wrist. His grip was astonishingly strong, almost crushing my bones. Sure you, he stared at me intently, word by word. If you dare to put it on, I'll die right here. His gaze was no longer an act, but a genuine, all-consuming madness that seeks to destroy everything. I was stunned. Something's off. This reaction is too extreme. Pei Yan, what exactly are you trying to do? At that moment, Zhou Xiang, who had been silent all along, suddenly moved. He raised his head, and a strange, eerie smile appeared on his handsome face. His voice had changed as well. It was no longer the stiff male voice, but an androgynous, metallic electronic sound. Sure you, put it on, or watch him die. As his words fell, Pei Yan suddenly let out a muffled groan, his face instantly turning as pale as paper. He clutched his chest, slowly kneeling down, his body convulsing violently. Pei Yan, I cried out in alarm, wanting to go and help him up. Don't touch him. Zhou Xiang, or rather, the system, grabbed hold of me. Its strength was astonishingly great. This is his punishment. Punish him for being disobedient. Punish him for trying to resist me. The electronic voice echoed in my ear, carrying a tone of lofty mockery. Now, make your choice. Put on the ring, and he lives. Otherwise, he will die of cardiac arrest right before your eyes. I looked at Pei Yan writhing in agony on the ground, then turned my gaze to the monster standing before me, cloaked in human skin. An unprecedented wave of anger and terror washed over my entire being. Fuck your mother, system. How dare you touch him? I glared fiercely at Zhou Xiang, squeezing the words out through gritted teeth. What on earth are you? I am a god. It laughed, the sound harsh and unpleasant. I am the god who created this world and can destroy it at any time, and you are merely the pets I keep for my amusement. Now, pets, it's time to make a choice. It handed the pink diamond ring to me. The shimmering light resembled the eyes of a demon. I watched Pei Yan's breathing grow weaker and weaker on the ground, feeling the blood in my body gradually turn cold. Slowly, I reached out my hand. Just when everyone thought I would compromise, I suddenly grabbed the champagne tower from the nearby table and, with all my strength, smashed it hard onto Zhou Xiang's head. To hell with your god. Bang, the champagne tower shattered in response, glass and wine splattered everywhere. A bloody gash was opened on Zhou Xiang's head, with crimson liquid mixing with champagne and streaming down his handsome cheeks, looking both eerie and disheveled. All the guests in the hall let out a synchronized gasp of shock. Shi Wei and the Shi family parents were so frightened that their faces turned deathly pale, and they retreated repeatedly. She's gone mad. She's gone mad. Zhou Xiang, or rather the system, seemed not to have anticipated that I would suddenly erupt in violence. It froze in place, and from the wound on its head, what flowed out was not just blood, but also something resembling data streams, flickering with blue electric arcs. It raised its hand, touched its wound, and then looked down at the blood on its fingertips. On Zhou Xiang's face, an extremely distorted expression appeared. You dare to attack me? Its voice was filled with unbelievable anger. A lowly creature dares to attack a god? A god? I sneered, grabbing another plate. I'll show you a god. Like a madman, I hurled everything on the table that could be thrown at it. Plates, cups, knives and forks, candlesticks. I'll teach you to play the ghost. I'll teach you to mess with my man. I'll teach you to threaten me. Fuck you. The system was completely bewildered by my chaotic, madness literature, style of attack. While dodging frantically, it tried to regain control over Pei Yan, but it seems to have forgotten that its attacks require a medium. And now, that medium is being smashed by me, scurrying away in panic. On the ground, Pei Yan took advantage of this moment, his painful gasps gradually subsiding. He pushed himself off the ground and slowly stood up. He walked over to me, wrapped his arms around me from behind, stopping me from continuing to throw the plates. Yu, that's enough. His voice had returned to its usual steadiness and calmness. I turned my head and saw that although his face was still pale, his eyes had regained their clarity and sharpness. Are you okay? Yeah, he nodded, then looked at the disheveled Zhou Xiang across from him, his eyes as cold as if he wanted to kill. Do you think that by wearing a human skin, you can do whatever you want? Pei Yan sneered and took out the USB drive I had seen before from his pocket. Ever since you created the identity of Zhou Xiang, I've been tracking your data source. Higher dimensional beings, indeed, but you are not invincible. Your core program has a fatal vulnerability, Pei Yan said, inserting the USB drive into the laptop on the host's podium. That is, you cannot comprehend love. All your logic is built upon interests and threats. You think you can buy Yu with $1 billion and threaten me with death. But you are wrong. In the face of absolute love, all your calculations are a joke. As his words fell, he swiftly began typing on the keyboard. The large screen in the banquet hall was instantly covered by countless lines of rapidly scrolling code. The Zhou Xiang on the opposite side turned pale with shock. No, what are you doing? Stop. It let out a piercing scream, trying to rush over and stop it, but it was already too late. Pei Yan pressed the enter key. Goodbye, high-dimensional trash. A visible blue data stream burst from the laptop, instantly striking Zhou Xiang. Ah! It let out a scream that sounded nothing like a human voice, its entire body beginning to flicker and distort wildly. Like a television with poor reception, Zhou Xiang's handsome face gradually dissolved amidst a flurry of garbled code, ultimately transforming into an indescribable, bizarre entity composed of countless light points and data. Then, with a bang, it completely exploded. Transforming into a sky full of stardust, it vanished without a trace. The world finally fell silent. Ding. In my mind, the last and most pleasant voice echoed. System has been completely cleared. Congratulations, host. You have regained your freedom. Account balance has been automatically settled. Final amount, 187.5 million. Wishing you a pleasant life. I stood there in a daze, feeling as if I had just woken from a dream. Free, truly, free. I turned my head to look at Pei Yan beside me. He was also looking at me, his eyes filled with the familiar, unyielding tenderness and affection. It's over. Yu, he reached out his hand to me. Let's go home. I could no longer hold back, throwing myself into his arms and bursting into tears. I cried for a long time. I poured out all the grievances, fears, and anger I had endured over the past year. Pei Yan simply held me quietly, gently patting my back as if comforting a child who had suffered immense injustice. The surrounding guests, including the 3 members of the Shi family, were all stunned. They had probably never witnessed such a surreal scene in their entire lives. At the engagement ceremony, the groom had exploded on the spot. Who would believe it if you told them? In the end, it was Pei Yan's assistant team that arrived just in time to seal off the scene and handle the aftermath. Pei Yan and I returned to our real home through the hotel's secret passage, that huge villa on the mountaintop, which I used as a forced labor site. As soon as I entered, I collapsed onto the soft sofa. Not wanting to move a muscle, Pei Yan went to pour me a cup of hot water, then sat beside me and pulled me into his embrace. Still feeling sad, I shook my head, burying my face in his chest, and mumbled, "It's not sadness, it's unreal, it feels like a dream." Pei Yan chuckled softly and kissed the top of my head. "It's not a dream, we're free." I looked up at his handsome face, so close to mine, still feeling a bit uneasy. That, the system, it really won't come back, right? No, it won't. Pei Yan's tone was very certain. I destroyed its core code with a logic bomb, leaving not even a trace behind. A logic bomb, yes, Pei Yan explained. I implanted a paradox into its core program. If love can be measured by money, then how much is the love of someone who is willing to give up 100 million for you worth? It can't calculate because there's no variable for love in its database. So, its CPU just burned out. Me. I really don't understand the world of top students. but it sounds really impressive, I sincerely praised. Honey, you're amazing. Pei Yan was amused by me and pinched my nose. Now you know how good I am. Then why did you agree to get engaged to another man for $1 billion before? He brought up the past again, his tone carrying a hint of barely noticeable grievance. I coughed guiltily a couple of times. That was just to complete the mission, for the sake of freedom, besides. 100 million, wouldn't you be tempted if it were you? I wouldn't be tempted. Pei Yan looked at me, his gaze frighteningly serious. Not even for 100 million, not even if the whole world were offered in exchange for you, I wouldn't trade you. My heart skipped a beat, my cheeks uncontrollably grew warm. Damn it, this dog of a man, sweet-talking me again. I whimpered and buried my head in his chest, not letting him see my flushed face. Smooth talker, Pei Yan chuckled softly. His chest rumbling, he held me tighter, his chin resting on the top of my head. Let's get married. I suddenly looked up. In his eyes, I saw an unprecedented seriousness and anticipation. My heartbeat instantly lost its rhythm. Marriage, this word, between him and me, seemed to be formally mentioned for the first time. We acted together, made money together, and fought against the system together. We are comrades, partners, and each other's most intimate lovers. But marriage seems to be a more sacred and solemn commitment. I looked at him and suddenly remembered something. I jumped off the sofa, ran to the bedroom, and rummaged through the safe I used specifically for hiding money to find a velvet box. This is what I secretly bought with the first sum of money I managed to scrape together. I walked up to him and knelt down on one knee, under Pei Yan's astonished gaze. I opened the box. Inside was a pair of simple platinum rings. Pei Yan, I raised my head, gazing up at the only love of my life. Although I am someone who is greedy for wealth and loves money, my account balance, my bank card password, and all my assets, I want to share them all with you. So, I took a deep breath, summoning the greatest courage of my life. Will you marry me? Pei Yan froze. He looked at me, at the ring in my hand, and his eyes gradually reddened, just like at the engagement ceremony. But this time, I knew, this wasn't an act. He smiled. As he smiled, tears began to fall. He didn't answer me, he just pulled me up from the ground abruptly and held me tightly, so tightly, in his arms. Then, with a scalding, trembling kiss, he gave me the final answer. Outside the window, the rain had cleared and the sky was bright. A brilliant rainbow stretched across the sky. I knew it was the beginning of our new, free life. It's only just begun.